My girlfriend shattered my proposal ring, glares at me disdainfully. It's worth a few $1,000s. You want to tie me down? At that moment, Nathan took out a huge diamond ring. He put it on her hand. He smiled unabashedly and said, "Attracting a beautiful woman is simple. Money is the best means." Nathan obviously had ulterior motives. I hurriedly pulled Emily back. "Remind her to be careful." Emily pushed me away. She said, "He's playing with me. One night is worth $1,000. How much is your heart worth?" 10 years later, Nathan and Emily humiliated me again at the reunion. They didn't realize I'm now a Los Angeles gentry. 10 years after graduation, I had a successful career topping the L.A. rich list. But I've always kept a low profile, never flaunted my wealth. So few people know my real identity. On this day, I was at the clubhouse talking business. I've just negotiated an order of several $100 million. The secretary brought the schedule. She said, "The next person to see you, it's Mr. Johnson family who has tens of billions of dollars in assets. He's in box 9. He has been waiting for you for a long time." I nodded in agreement. I felt I owed him a favor, so I went downstairs to meet him, push open the door of the box, only to realize that I went to the wrong place. Inside sitting is not Johnson family prince, but a table of old classmates. Nathan was surrounded by a group of people. Sitting on the main seat, the people next to him, they're the ones who flattered the rich and powerful in college. I had nothing to talk to them about. I turned around and left. Nathan called out to me. He said, "You're Liam, right? I met my old classmate. Why don't you even say hello?" He put on a superior posture. "It's exactly the same as before." I suddenly remembered. 10 years ago, he brought a pigeon egg ring. He stole my classmate Emily. I had forgotten about it. Now that I've seen him, I remember. It's time to teach him a lesson. I stopped walking. I looked around the box. Is it a reunion? Why didn't you tell me in advance? The girl next to me laughed. "Liam, don't blame us for not telling you in advance. It's for your own good. Your family is not well off. We were worried that you might be uncomfortable coming to such an upscale place." I fiddled with the car keys in my hand. I said, "You guys think too much. I come here often." Everyone froze at that, surprised faces. Nathan said confidently, "You work here, don't you? You're a waiter and a dishwasher. Are you still a young master who waits on people?" he asked. Everyone immediately burst into laughter. The female students laughed and said, "Liam, you are quite handsome, but it's a pity, just too poor. No wonder Emily left you back then. You probably haven't touched a woman in all these years." "I'll be kind. I'll take you under my wing. It's better than being a young master in a private room. It's much better than being called around. That's all." Everyone laughed frivolously again. I stared coldly at the chubby figure of the female classmate. "You are Emily's good friend, right? What's the name?" The female student introduced herself. "My name is Olivia. Remember my name. Maybe you'll need my help later." I picked up a bottle of wine and walked over to her. "If I remember correctly, the one who encouraged Emily to break up with me in the first place, it was you, wasn't it?" Olivia didn't hide it. She admitted it directly. "Right, it was me. I sent Emily to Nathan's bed. I did it for her own good. Found her a rich man with her looks. You don't deserve her. Don't even think about it. Pour me a drink." I answered softly, "Okay." He picks up the bottle, slammed it into her head. The bottle shattered. Dark red wine mixed with blood. Paste all over her face. Olivia screamed loudly in pain. She wiped her face with her hand. She yelled at me, "Liam, you're tired of living. I'm tired of you. I let you serve me. What are you doing?" I laughed coldly. "My eyes are cold. You deserve it." Olivia is not convinced, threatens. "Apologize to me now. It's not too late." I grabbed a wet paper towel and wiped my hands, said, "If I don't apologize, then you won't be able to walk out of this compartment today." Olivia sneered, stared at Nathan and said. Nathan immediately understood, snapped his fingers. In the twinkling of an eye, a group of people surrounded me. "What for?" I was holding a section of the bottle in my hand, easily looking at them. Nathan stood up, takes a stance like he's going to judge me. "Liam, you hurt someone. Shouldn't you apologize?" The others follow. "An apology is not enough. Liam, you're the kind of person who doesn't know how to respect women." Do you have any respect for women? You should get down on your knees and apologize to Olivia, clean her shoes, and pay for her medical expenses. Otherwise, we will call the police. I said with a sullen face, lick the shoes, pay for the money. Olivia looked at me with a smug look on her face, holds the leather shoe out in front of me. Olivia, you're smart. I know you don't have the money to pay my medical bills. You get down on your knees, lick my shoes clean, spend another night with me. And that's it, I said coldly. Are you sure? Olivia wiggles her feet, eyes flirty, says, see, you are handsome, cheap you out. I immediately picked up the half-empty bottle. I stabbed it at Olivia's foot. The sharp glass pierced through the leather shoes. It pierced into the back of her foot. Blood immediately flowed out. Olivia screamed in pain. Liam, you're going to do this the hard way. I'm going to make you look good. She grabbed the bowl on the table. She threw it directly at me. I quickly dodged out of the way. The bowl hit Nathan behind me. Suddenly, his forehead started to bleed. Suddenly, his forehead starts to bleed. Nathan angrily questioned Olivia. Olivia, don't you see? Olivia rushed to say, I'm sorry, Nathan. Nathan, I wanted to hit Liam, not you. Nathan shouts angrily, if you don't know how to fight, don't show your face. There are so many men here. There's no need for you to fight. Olivia nodded her head. Right. And then he glares at me. Liam hit me. It's the same as hitting everyone in the face. Everyone hurry up and do it. Teach me a lesson about this guy who doesn't know his place. Nathan waved his hand at everyone. He shouted, go. The words just fell. The male students at the table immediately grabbed the empty bottles, swarmed up. I rang the front desk, say, there's a disturbance in the No. 6 elegant room, call the bouncer over. Everyone froze for a moment, stopped in their tracks. Looked at me hesitantly. Nathan smiled disdainfully. We are VIPs, on good terms with the club owner. It's useless to call the bouncer. The boss will only side with the client. Fire you. He snapped his fingers again, urging everyone. What's there to be afraid of? He's just a powerless clubhouse young master, even if he was beaten to death. No one would even give him a second glance. After he encouraged everyone, the crowd became cocky again. Their eyes are fierce. They approached me step by step. At that moment, there was a sudden movement outside the box. I thought it was the bodyguards, but the one who pushed the door in was Emily. She's so beautiful. She was so beautiful that everyone's eyes were on her. Everyone froze for a moment. There was a flash of jealousy in Olivia's eyes. Then she urged everyone on. Don't just stand there, hurry up. Look at what Emily is doing. Emily only belongs to Nathan. It's useless to look at her. Nathan looked pleased with himself, waving his hand at Emily. Emily ignores him. Emily ignores him and looks at everyone else. What are you guys doing fighting? All of you stop. At the word of command. Everyone hesitated again. A male student smiled curtly and said, Sister-in-law. It was Nathan who told us to do it. Liam is really out of line to actually hurt Olivia twice. Emily turned her head to Nathan, with obvious displeasure on her face. You called me here just to watch you guys fight. Then I'll take my son and leave. At this point, it was only then that everyone saw a little boy hiding behind Emily. The little boy was about 4 or 5 years old, not very bold. Nathan let Emily and her son sit next to him. He even gave me a smug look. Then he said to everyone, your sister-in-law doesn't like to see those bloody images. For your sake, this revenge is remembered first. Let's talk about it later. Everyone immediately put down their bottles. They praised each other. Sister-in-law still has face. It's a great honor to be married to Nathan. It's a great honor to be married to Nathan. It's a real bargain for Liam. Thanks to your sister-in-law's help. Thanks to your sister-in-law's help, I'll let him off the hook this time. I laughed coldly. I didn't realize they were married. They even have a child. Nathan stared at me. His eyes were full of contempt. Liam, 10 years ago you proposed with a ring that cost a few $1,000s. Remember? Ha ha ha, that's a laugh. Thousands of dollars to impress the class president. Guess how much that pigeon egg I gave her was worth? $1 million. $1 million versus a few $1,000s. Any woman would know which one to choose. Olivia followed. I'd take Nathan. I choose Nathan too. Nathan glances at Olivia. He smiles and says, you can't, too ugly, ha ha ha. But I'd give you $100,000 ring if I had the hots for you. I'd give you $100,000 ring. Not like Liam. I wouldn't be like Liam and give you something for a few $1,000s. Olivia heard this. There was clearly unhappiness and jealousy in her eyes. But she didn't show it, still pleasing Nathan as usual. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know I'm not as pretty as Emily. She's very popular. She's very popular. Since she started college, she's had a few rich guys try to take her. If I didn't have a good eye, I got her drunk. I sent her to Nathan's bed. She wouldn't be here today, otherwise. She might not be married to the handsome and young Nathan. As her best friend, I helped her choose the right man. I was standing next to her. I was shocked to hear that. Unconsciously looked at Emily. She picked up the wine. She picked up the wine and kept pouring it into her mouth. She doesn't look like she's in a good mood. Olivia grabbed her glass. She says unhappily, Emily, shouldn't you be thanking me if it wasn't for me? If it wasn't for me, you'd have been played by those rich guys 1,000,000 times over. You'd have ended up marrying a guy like Liam. You'll end up marrying a poor man like Liam to clean up the mess. Emily clenched her fists tightly. Her lips were bitten through, still did not say a word. I really can't help it, shook the diamond ring in his hand. You guys think too much. Do I look like that kind of person? I'm not interested in second-hand women, even if it's a famous girl. I'm not interested either. Do you see this ring? I bought it when I got engaged to my fiancée. She had a pair of them. It's worth $20 million. I'm sorry. The box immediately burst into laughter. They stared at me with the eyes of a fool. Only Emily was pale. She looked sad. Nathan laughed his ass off. You're the only one who can afford a $20 million ring. You can afford a $20 million ring. It's worth $2,000 at most. You tell your girlfriend it's worth $20 million. Liam, what can I say about you? It's been 10 years. You're still such a loser, using this cheap stuff to fool the little girl. Olivia wore a mocking expression. She came over and looked at my hand. Suddenly, her face changed. Isn't this the pair of sky stars reported in the news? Master Liam bought the couple's rings from an auction house for $20 million. He turned around and gave the female ring to the Johnson family's daughter. I waved my hand gently, lightly said, "You have a good eye." Olivia looked at my eyes. Suddenly, more worship and fanaticism. Liam, are you Master Liam? I really envy the Johnson family's daughter. Everyone's look at me became complicated. Nathan looked at me first, then he looked at the ring. He couldn't believe it. He then smiled, said, "Fakes are everywhere now. The imitations are too similar. Even merchants may not be able to tell the difference. Don't fall for his tricks. It's Liam's job, this situation. He can still afford such expensive things." Olivia understood at once, so it's a fake. She reappeared with a disdainful look. At this time, my phone rang. It was the Johnson family's daughter. I picked up the phone, chatted with her briefly. She asked me to meet her to discuss cooperation. It's mainly business between us. There wasn't much personal relationship, but she had a crush on me. I reciprocated her feelings, gave her a ring. Both of them are well-known figures in Los Angeles. Working together to form a CP can only be beneficial and harmless. I plan to go to the appointment. I don't want to keep spending time here. Emily asked me with a sudden blush, "Liam, are you dating MTK's Johnson family?" I nodded my head. I didn't want to say anything, although I loved Emily when I first graduated from college. I even thought about marrying her 5 years after graduation. I met her again by chance. I still have feelings for her. That night, she was drunk in a bar. She was almost taken away. I carried her home and gave her $10 million. You said before, Nathan's one night with you is worth $1,000. I'll pay a little more now. Can I buy you one night? Emily's expression was awkward. In the end, she reluctantly nodded her head and agreed. That night, she acted very rusty, as if she had never experienced it before. She even left a little red mark on the sheets. When she left the next day, she didn't take the $10 million either, but I didn't care too much. Just thought it was a little trick she played. By now, her jealousy is just a ploy on her part. Olivia is trying to stop me while calming down Emily. Emily, don't let him fool you. He just likes to put on an act to save face. Put the name of the Johnson family's daughter on the phone, and it's true. I think he's just guessing. I think he's just guessing. After he finished speaking, he looked at me with a sarcastic look. If you have the ability to invite Johnson family's daughter to the box, we will believe you. I helplessly rolled my eyes at her. How can I be that idle? Do I still need your approval to find a girlfriend? I said. Johnson family's daughter called again. She said she changed her mind. She plans to come to my clubhouse. I'm afraid she'll come too soon and I'll be anxious if she can't find me. So I casually told her my box number. Olivia smiled and said, "How dare you ask someone to the box? You'll be exposed later. There will be a lot of fun to watch. We're really looking forward to it. The Johnson family's daughter is a celebrity. We've seen her photos before. She can't be faked. It's so funny, showing off your wealth in front of us. Are you good enough?" I sat on the sofa. I lit a cigarette leisurely. "Believe it or not, it's up to you. When the time comes, don't come to beg me," said. The whole box resounded with laughter again. Nathan walked to me, directly took the cigar out of my mouth. He dropped it on the floor, stomped on it hard. "Poor as this. Can't even afford a genuine cigar. What's the point of pretending to be a big spender? This kind of fake cigarettes is very harmful to the body. I can't afford it. I'll give you a pack of good cigarettes," said. He threw a pack of soft china on me. I was so angry that I threw the pack of soft china into the trash can. This kind of cigarettes also have the nerve to show off. Nathan's face was gloomy. "You don't know how to show off. Pick up the cigarettes." I clasped my hands on my chest. My tone was cold. "Your cigarettes are inferior. I don't care for them. A pack of cigarettes doesn't even cost $70. How dare you show off in front of me? The cigars I smoke cost $700,000 a pack. You say, why is there such a big difference between people?" I pointed to the ground that he stepped on. The dirty cigar said, "Just this small cigar. It costs $60,000 to $70,000. You have to compensate me." Nathan laughed again. "Who are you kidding? I've smoked cigars. You can't fool me." I smiled coldly. Said, "This brand of cigarettes. You won't have a chance to smoke them. Good luck with this brand. Expensive. Production is low. Ordinary people can't buy it at all." Nathan doesn't care. He even stomped on the cigar a few times. "I've heard of this brand. Good luck. But I don't think you can afford it. If you can afford it, don't say $70,000. I'll pay you $70 million. I nod my head. "That's great. You've made tens of millions of dollars in a short while. You know that lucky American supplier. I'll make a phone call. I'll be able to get him here." Nathan said with a smile, "Chief John, who doesn't know him? If you can really get him here, I'll get down on my knees and apologize." I smiled, said, "Okay, it's settled. $70 million plus an apology." Said. I picked up the phone. First I called Mr. John. Then I dialed 911. There were a lot of jeers and comments in the box. "You're pretending to be something you're not. You're not bad. A young master of the box. You want to smoke a good luck cigar. Don't even think about it. You're getting worse and worse. You've just finished showing off your ring." He's showing off his cigars. He said the Johnson family's daughter is his girlfriend. It's a joke. As we laughed, Olivia came over. She casually slapped my face. "It's so embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to have a classmate like you. I'm really embarrassed. I understand. You've seen many rich people in the clubhouse, but their lives are beyond your reach. If you think it's disgraceful to be adopted by me, then come to my company and clean the toilets. I'll talk to the boss about your situation. He should take you in." I push Olivia away. Disgust is written all over her face. "You're looking for a job for me. Are you qualified to do that? Your boss's small company has survived until now. It's all thanks to me. If I don't give orders, your boss will close down immediately. You'd lose your job." Olivia didn't take it seriously. She thinks it's a joke. She said sarcastically, 90 of our company's orders are all from Mr. Liam. You dare to pretend to be Mr. Liam just because your last name is Liam." I couldn't help myself. "I'm Mr. Liam. I am Mr. Liam. I can make you lose your job with one phone call." I immediately called my assistant. Tell Olivia's boss. His employees need to be disciplined. No more orders for their company next month. Soon. My phone was ringing off the hook. The calls were all from Olivia's boss. I didn't answer any of them. Then he called Olivia directly. He called Olivia directly, said, "Olivia, you dare to make Mr. Liam angry, don't come to work tomorrow. If Mr. Liam is not happy, I'm gonna fuck your whole family up." Olivia went pale. She's staring at me in fear. "Are you really Master Liam?" Just at this time, the door of the box was pushed open. My secretary led Miss Johnson family and Chief John in. A male student next to me looked at Olivia sympathetically, said, "Everyone says that Master Liam has powerful means. You messed with him, can have a few lives enough to compensate." Olivia moved her body when she saw that the 3 people who came in were wearing masks. She calmed down again. She didn't. Low-profile celebrities on occasions where there were loafers usually wear masks. I thought someone really big was coming. Scared enough. "That phone call just now, it's you Liam who got someone to act it out. It's all fake. I don't care about her. I'll settle the score with her later. Right now, I have to talk to the Johnson family about an important matter. I can't afford to delay." I asked them to wait for me in my office. The 3 of them nodded to me. Then they turned and walked away. Nathan deliberately stretched out his foot to trip me, says, trying to walk. "It's not that easy. Either you prove you're Master Liam, or you'll be punished with 100 drinks, and you'll have to crawl under each of our legs." I'll ask with a straight face, "Are you sure?" Olivia clapped her hands, spreads her legs, face full of anticipation. Emily tapped the table, asked, "What are you guys doing here?" "The thought of you Liam getting underneath me. It feels so painful. It's really appropriate to insult people like that. Is it really appropriate? Even if Liam is not our classmate, he's just a stranger. We shouldn't treat him like this. Aren't you worried? Is he really Master Liam?" Nathan smiled and said, "Don't worry. If he was Master Liam, I'd cut my head off." "Emily, if you ever help him again, I'm going to have a go at him." Emily was surprised. She asked, "You have to be like this?" Olivia said to her, "Silly sister, you have to be kind-hearted. Stand aside and watch the show. A guy from a poor place like him, full of lies, always hurting people, he's not worth defending. If you don't teach him a lesson today, he'll never learn how to behave." Finished speaking, he pushed Emily a bit, then picked up the wine on the table, started to pour the wine. It didn't take long. The table was filled with 100 glasses of wine. She proudly picked up a glass. She handed it to me and said, "Liam, this is Flying Mautai. It's a bargain for you. You've probably never tasted such good wine. I'll let you drink it today. It's a good way to get to know the world." "I'm sorry." There was another round of laughter in the box. I knocked over the wine Olivia handed me, a face of disgust. "This kind of cheap wine, I can't look at it. Besides, drinking with you guys, are you guys good enough?" Olivia shouted, "Liam, you're killing me." Nathan waved his hand at everyone. He shouts, "Liam, pour alcohol on him." Emily tries to step forward to stop it. Nathan pulled her back. "Nathan, mind your own business. You have to remember, you're Nathan's woman, not Liam's woman." Emily shouted angrily, "You bullies." I sneered, thinking to myself, soon I will make them understand what is a real bully. I pressed the emergency intercom at the front desk again, saying, "You can let the bodyguards in now." The bodyguards had already arrived at the entrance of the box before, but I let them leave first in my territory. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, but now it seems they have to bleed, Nathan said coldly, and the bodyguard, "How much longer are you going to pretend? The clubhouse does have bodyguards, but that's for the rich, not for people like you who don't have any money." Finished. A few people held me down. Olivia held a glass of wine, poured it directly into my mouth. "I'll let you pretend to be noble. You're a poor beggar who doesn't know what's good for you." Suddenly, Sophia, the secretary, rushed in with some bodyguards. "Stop! What are you doing?" The bodyguards rushed up. They took care of those who made a move on me. In a flash, the ground was covered with people who had been knocked down, especially Nathan, was beaten up the most. He was lying on the ground. He couldn't move at all. Only Emily, at my gesture, she didn't get hit after all, although I have some emotional entanglements with her, but she didn't mess with me this time. My classmates laughed at me. She didn't follow suit. She even tried to speak up for me. I don't know why she did that, but I'm not going to hurt her. Nathan, with the help of a few people, he's finally on his feet. He knew Sophia, knew that she was the most trusted secretary beside Master Liam. He asked Sophia, "Sophia, secretary, There's been a mistake. We are the VIPs of the club. How can you ask people to beat me and my classmates? Sophia was wearing a long red dress, stepping on a 15-centimeter thin high heel. This outfit made her tall and sexy figure look even more imposing. She was a head taller than Nathan. Looking down on him, "You have messed with our boss, Master Liam." Secretary Sophia speaks up, checking me carefully for injuries on my body, on my shoulders and wrists. There are obviously a few fingerprints. That was left behind when they held me down just now. Sophia's face grew cold. Everyone then realized, my identity is not ordinary. Nathan's voice shook a little, asked, "Secretary Sophia, are you talking about Master Liam as Liam?" Sophia slapped him violently, said, "Is our boss's name something you can just call?" Nathan at this moment, even if he is stupid, also understood my identity. He immediately knelt in front of me. He kept kowtowing. "Master Liam, we were blind. We didn't recognize you. Please be generous. Forgive us. We're classmates at least. Please be generous." He said so. The other students followed suit and bowed their heads to me. I smiled coldly. The rumors in the Jianghu, you should have all heard of them. Master Liam is not a soft-hearted person. How would he easily let go of those who dared to humiliate him? Everyone looked at me in fear. The box was full of cries. I feel a bit funny when they mocked me just now. It was also so noisy. These people had all laughed at me before. There's no point in keeping their tongues. I'll make sure they can never speak again. Someone else made a move on me. It's all on the CCTV, those who did it to me. There's no need to keep their hands. Secretary Sophia hurriedly nodded her head in agreement. "Boss, I understand. Leave these things to the bodyguards. I'll take you to change clothes. I don't know if there are germs on these people, but they've soiled your clothes. Fingerprints on the shoulders and cuffs of the suit. I always feel uncomfortable looking at them. When I was leaving, I told my men, don't give Emily and her son a hard time. Emily looked at me. Emily looked at me with a look of unspeakable emotion in her eyes. The students turned to Emily, pleaded, "Emily, Liam has a crush on you. Put in a good word for us." Emily waved her hand. Emily waved her hand. "I don't have that much influence. Even if I did, I wouldn't intercede for you guys. You just bullied someone. It's only right that you get what's coming to you now." She left with her son. She took her son and left. I looked at her back. I had a mixed feeling in my heart at this time. Nathan suddenly knelt down. He transferred $70 million to me and explained to me what happened between him and Emily. "Master Liam, it's my fault for not recognizing you. I should pay you $70 million. In fact, I never touched Emily. Her baby is not mine. We're not married either. I let her pretend to be my wife to save face. I let her pretend to be my wife. I forced her to leave you. I forced her to. The so-called deal. I threatened her with the safety of her family, so she had to leave you. I gave her money. She didn't ask for it. I didn't touch your woman. Can you let me off the hook?" That's when I realized. No wonder Emily was so particular about me today. Always on my side. Thinking about how she's been threatened by Nathan all these years. I was immediately on fire. I walked up to Nathan, staring at him coldly. "Shouldn't I thank you, not forcing me, woman?" Nathan had a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Thank you, thank you." I kicked him in the nuts. "You've been hitting on my woman for years. For that alone, you deserve to die. Keeping Emily and I apart for so long. It's not enough for you to die several times." I kicked harder and harder. Nathan screamed in pain until I had no strength left. I turned around and left, out of the box door. I found Emily had already left. I don't know where she went. I asked someone to find out where mother and son were. Sophia brought me a new suit to change into. She asked curiously, "Boss, are we going to have a boss lady soon?" I smiled slightly. A particularly sweet smile, that's for sure. But she already has someone else's child. Can you still accept her? I saw the little boy beside Emily. A warmth welled up in my heart. The child, it could be mine. Even if it isn't, I wouldn't mind her either. I soon found the mother and child. Emily lives in a shabby house in the suburbs. It's in poor condition. The roof leaks in the wind and rain. Emily set up a few bottles and jars to catch the leaking rainwater. I knocked on the door and went in. I saw Emily putting the little boy to bed. The little boy was cowering in her arms. He said with a sobbing voice, "Mommy, I'm cold. I can't sleep. It's winter. There's no heat or air conditioning in the house. There's no heat. It must be very cold." My heart ached. I put my arms around them. I said, "You've been wronged." Emily pushed me away. She looked nervous. "What are you doing here?" I answered with a smile. "I'm here to take you and your son to the villa." Emily held the baby tightly in her arms. She was afraid I would take him away from her. "What son? Who's your son?" "That's my son." The little boy poked his head out of her arms. He looked at me curiously. He asked, "Are you my dad?" Mom said, "Dad is very handsome. There's a mole on his forehead. You're handsome, and a mole on your forehead. It must be my dad." I gently patted his head. I said quickly, "That's right. I am your dad." Emily's face turned red for a moment, but still do not admit. The child does not know what to do. She recognized the wrong person. I patted her head. "A child doesn't know better. Don't you think adults don't know better? Do you want your child to live in such misery?" She still wants to deny it. I took out the paternity report. "The child is mine. I've already done the test. Don't try to deny it." Emily's eyes are red. "All these years, I've survived with my child, and now you're back in my life. What do you mean? Is it to get back at me for leaving you? I only have my child. Please leave him with me." I sighed. I hugged her. "I came here this time. I've come to take you and the baby home, starting today. I'll always be with you. I understand what happened in the past. It's Nathan who's been threatening you. That's why you had to leave me. You should have told me earlier. Why didn't you discuss it with me?" Emily jumped into my arms, cried sadly, said, "I was afraid he would give you a hard time." I gently patted her back. The tone was cold. 10 years ago, he did have this ability, but now, he's nothing but a little bug in my eyes. I took Emily and her child to live in the villa, stayed with them every day. The secretary also came to the villa to report to me. The Nathans came to see me. I nodded, just in time. I was about to argue with them. Nathan's dad leads Nathan into the parlor. The two of them were kneeling on the floor together. By this time Nathan had lost an arm. His tongue was gone. He stared straight at me. He couldn't say a word. He kept begging on his knees. I kicked him out of the way. I asked, "What are you doing here?" Nathan's father also rushed to help kick his son, saying, "This asshole has been taught a lesson. He won't steal women from Master Liam in the future. For the sake of our cooperation for so long, can you spare Nathan's family?" I sneer. "Your son doesn't know any better. You don't know anything either. Your son has made such a big mess. I've been lenient enough in letting your family off the hook. You want to work with me again? You're dreaming." Seeing that I'm not polite, Nathan's dad kicked Nathan a few more times. "You're useless. You made Nathan's family suffer. I am now in front of Master Liam. I don't recognize you as my son. I don't want to see father and son acting there." I asked the bodyguards to blow them out. Before leaving, Nathan glared at me viciously. I laughed. Just like him. He still wants to fight with me. One word from me and Nathan's family was bankrupt. Nathan became a cripple. No money, no job. He found a broken bowl on the side of the road. He started begging. As for their men, it didn't end well. Some were crippled, some died. Those who barely survived, they spent the rest of their lives in the ICU. Olivia was particularly fond of men. I sent her to work in a nightclub. Every day, some abnormal men pestered her, causing her to have a nervous breakdown. Just when I thought all the problems were taken care of, a new trouble appeared. My son suddenly disappeared. That day, Emily took her son. The maid accompanied her to the mall. She left her son with the maid. I went into the fitting room to change clothes. When I came out, I realized my son was gone. The maid was nowhere to be found. I was furious. How dare someone hit on my son? I thought they were really desperate. I asked someone to find out the whereabouts of the maid. I spent a lot of money to check all the surveillance cameras in the nearby shopping mall. In the end, in the trash can on the street corner, the maid's body was found. It was so hard to find the clue. Suddenly gone. Emily was in a hurry, all day long. She couldn't think. She couldn't sleep at night. She not only lost weight, even her spirit is not what it used to be. I held her gently. I kept comforting her. "Don't be too upset. My son will be safe if anything happens to him. We can still have another one." Emily raised her hand and slapped me. "Liam, you're so heartless. You don't care about your son, or else. With your ability, how could you not find out? I don't dare to look Emily in the eye. I'm afraid she'll find something wrong. In fact, I do know the whereabouts of my son. Yesterday, the kidnapper contacted me, but didn't mention the money. He asked me to trade Emily for my son's return home. I'm faced with a dilemma. My son is already in danger. I couldn't put my wife in danger too to ensure Emily's safety. I put her in the villa and arranged for someone to watch over her. I made it a rule that she can't go out alone, and no outsiders were allowed to go near her. It didn't take long. She noticed the abnormality, started complaining that I was restricting her freedom. I didn't say much, just worked harder to find my son. I also found a woman who looks especially like Emily. I was going to exchange her for my son. Those kidnappers sent me videos of my son suffering every day. They kept torturing me. I held back my anger, tried to stay calm. When I got to the place, I pushed the stand-in woman out. The masked kidnapper only took one look and shook his head. Who are you fooling? Just find a woman who looks like Emily. Just want to fool me since you are so insincere. I'll sacrifice your son to heaven first. That Emily woman, I won't let her go either. After listening to the other side, I was surprised to find out the kidnapper is actually a woman, her rough voice. I knew who it was the moment I heard it. This kidnapper is actually Olivia. At first, I didn't mute her, nor did I leave her with no arms or legs. I didn't poison her. I didn't leave her with no arms or legs. Just to make her serve men, to make her suffer under the torture of those perverted men. She was jealous of Emily's good looks. She sent Emily to Nathan's bed. Luckily, a hotel attendant thought something was wrong, reported it to the police. This saved Emily. Nathan began to target Emily, threatened her with the power of the family. Emily was determined not to give in. Nathan couldn't do anything about it. He could only force her to break up with me, or he'd go after the people who mattered to her. I hated those two men. They kept Emily and I apart for 10 years. No amount of revenge on them is too much. I want them to live and suffer, instead of an easy death. I tortured Olivia and ended up killing my own son. Olivia is determined to capture the two people I care about most. She wants to get back at me. Thinking about it, I can't help but shudder. I tried to make a deal with her. Olivia, why hurt someone because of a moment of jealousy? How much money do you want? I'll give it to you. Take the money and get out of here. You can go to jail for murder. It's not worth it. Olivia said excitedly, "You're making my life miserable. I don't want to live anymore. Before I die, I'm going to take the two people you care about most with me." Emily suddenly rushes out from the shadows of the trees. She approached Olivia, said, "You want my life, don't you? Come and get it. Give me my son. I'll stand over there. I'll stand over there and I'll do whatever you want." I shouted, "Don't do that." Olivia was particularly pleased, says, "Great. It seems like Liam really cares about you. He chose between you and his son. He chose you, so your son is useless to him now." Olivia was talking at the same time, while pushing her son away, the very moment Emily reaches for the child. Olivia suddenly raised her knife and aimed it at Emily, I rushed over and held Olivia down. She still had the knife in her hand. She was screaming. I was so close. I was going to have to deal with Emily. What makes her so good-looking, and so many people like her? I'm going to destroy her. I'm going to kill her. Jealousy makes her horrible. I tied her up. I handed her over to the police. Kidnapping and voluntary manslaughter were enough to put her in jail for the rest of her life. After that, I got someone to make a move to get her killed in prison in case Nathan retaliated. I also arranged an accident, causing him to die. After he was crippled, originally, life was worse than death. That day, I had my chauffeur approach him in a Rolls Royce. He took the initiative to welcome me, with a smile on his lips. To die under the wheels of a luxury car, it's worth it. I really don't know what to say. He even wants to show off his money even in death.